Hi, so today I'm going to talk to you about some of the other materials from other programs that we use here at the 20% Club. And they're things that I've used in other programs. My background actually started in Orton-Gillingham. I do have the credentials to be a CALT, a Certified Academic Language Therapist. And I also have a lot of background in using the Sunday program as well. So there are things from other programs that I really miss in Barton, and the stickler is that they are not aligned. I take the time to align these. I'm very big on making sure that students are only held accountable for the things that we have taught them. So first of all, one thing that I miss here is the card deck. I have used the card deck for years. I would use this with a student who maybe had a poor working memory, needed a lot of reinforcement in a really short period of time. So let's talk about just this first card, okay? So the first card, you can see that I actually have taken the time to color this in because in Barton, our vowels are yellow. If a student was only working in level 2, I would only ask them for one sound, which would be a, as an apple, right? I might even have them tap it as I was doing the card pack with them. So I might have them say apple, apple, in level 4, now you can see that that's a teal stripe. The teal stripe indicates that that is a level 2 skill. There's also a yellow stripe on this. That indicates that starting in level 4, which is yellow, there's going to be 2 other sounds. We've got A, the open A, as in like acorn or behave. No, not behave, as in acorn. And we also have the schwa sound, which will be the So ago, along, all of those. All right, let's just walk through. Now the other thing I've done is I've actually, in the corner of each card here, there is the lesson level and number. So you would be able to really quickly at a glance know what your student is working on, even if you didn't have a really strong memory for the order that Barton, for the teaching order, the scope and sequence. But this is quick. This goes quick. So it would be a, and then I would also make sure that they are checking the letter P. Pigs go down in the mud. You might ask them after you have taught the vibrating sound, what's the other sound for it? Z, as in as, is, t, f, b. Again, I would check. B. Right here. I, as in itchy, tap it, itchy, itchy, G. And you can see this one also has 2 stripes, okay? Because we're going to be teaching the soft J sound, but not until level 6. That's why it's blue. O, R. I always teach R as a little dog that's barking in my hand. R. K. Now you can see this also has 2 stripes on it, right? Because we are going to introduce the soft C sound in level 3, and that's purple. So right now, K, and then later, S. As an olive, 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 K, V, J, Z, D, as an upper, and again, there's, 2 different colors on here because it's going to make a different sound in level 4. Now, I would have them distinguish the W and the WH. I would say whoop here. Now, there is a lot of disagreement on the sound of this letter, actually. So, in level 2, we would teach that this is just a consonant W, like y, as in yes. Now, a lot of people think that this sound is just ye, ye. That is the first sound that you say, so not sure. And then, of course, in level 4, there's the yellow stripe again because we will add the I as in my and the E as in baby. I would actually have my student make the motion for that. Qua, why is the U there? Because it's a bodyguard. As in Eddie, 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 You can also introduce the vibrating sound. Shh. If your student mixes up the SH and the CH, I would have them make a motion. Shh. Ships coming in. Chop. And you can notice that this k always is going to come after a letter. It can't come at the beginning of the word. That's why that little dash is there. Now for this one, if you're a Barton, if you're teaching in Barton, you know that the way that we differentiate between the W and the WH is that we make a big puff of air. I would have my student do that. Now you can see here is our first unit. Okay, we're all the way into level 3 already. So units are going to be boxed off as red right here. So this is all. Here's your floss rule. O, s, z. When do we use it? After one short vowel. Ing, ang, ong, ung. Put an S in front of that. Sing, sang, song, sung. This is exactly how I would teach this. Ink, ink, onk, unk. Put a TH in front of it. Think, think, thonk, thunk. When do we use it? After one short vowel. And then we get to the final kind of old units. Now, this is one where I made it on my own. You can see that. It's not great, but it's effective, right? Because in this other program, the card pack that I ordered, it did not have the OLL and the OLT. So those I added, again, to align with Barton. You can see still 3.11 is when they're introduced. So all, old, olt, and ost, ild, and eind. And then we really don't introduce anything else. Again, remember we have all of the vowels in the card pack. So let's say you're in level 4, lesson number 8. You would hold them responsible for all of the vowels, both short and long, saying their own name, and then you would also hold them accountable for the letter A, saying when it's a schwa. So we're now at the end of level 4. We've got A, when do you use it at the end? E, in the beginning, remember they only know that you use EE at the end. O, where do we use it at the end? U or oo, make sure they're saying both sounds. U or oo. O, where do we use it in the middle? And then finally A, where do we use it in the middle? This one says shun, this one says shun and jun. And then we're all the way up to level 6 right now. Okay, so I will have them, and then on the bottom you can see that we have a Y, consonant, E. I didn't feel like throwing out this whole card and redoing it, so I would just put my finger over the bottom. That skill is not taught until level 6, lesson 8, when we introduce the Greek words. But I would say to them, put like a letter P in the middle. Ape, eep, ipe, ope, yoop, or oop. J, when, after one short vowel. Chur, and again, you can see that this is one that I made on my own because they listed, in this program, they listed as a suffix, which you're going to see programs kind of use different terms for some of these different ones. That in such essential part of level 6 is the silent E unit, so I did include those. Ij, in, is, it. My students have a lot of trouble with this. And then we've got, I actually love this card too. This is something that I feel like we should review in Barton a lot more. Bull, dull, gull, tull, cull, full, pull, zull. And you might even ask them to come up with a word that uses each of those. And this is more like the sprinkle vehicle rule. So we've got cull, gull, cull, and sull. Remember the T is going to be silent for the STLE. We're in level 7 now. We've got R, we've got or, and of course you can add as they learn the unaccented sounds of these. I would say or. When they learn the unaccented sound, I would say Same with the AR as in dollar. Or, and then I added all the bossy W sounds. So we've got wa, war, were, qua, and quar. 3 sounds of ear, air. You could also include R as in heart. And I also like this one too, which is these both say air. So ear or AR followed by vowel. And then now we're up until level 8. So we're going to finish up with all of those vowel teams. So we've got E, and then, you know, there's also some but not words for those. I and E, as in peas and pie. Oi at the end. Oi in the middle. Aw as in August. Aw as in, sticking together here. Aw as in dawn. I did hear somebody explain the difference between aw and ah as in olive. And I love that they talked about you really need to think about what your mouth is doing. So it sounds really similar. It's really hard to distinguish, but once you start focusing what your mouth is saying and doing, it will make it a little bit easier to differentiate and teach it to your student too. So aw, I've got my mouth here really aw. I've got my tongue back there, and I've got ah as in olive. My mouth is open a little bit bigger and my tongue is doing something different. I've got oo as in boo and as in book. I've got ow as in mouth. And I've got vowel team EA. So this is clean breath is great. EA. 3-letter I, usually followed by a T. EI, I do still like the phrase. I know there's a million different mugs and t-shirts, but I before E except after C, unless it says A as in neighbor and way. EIGH says A. EU says U and U, just like the other ones. Where would we use this? We would use this in the middle, and then we've got chew for like actual. So those are how I would teach them. Of course, I would run through different portions of this. I might not do the whole card pack every time, but I would review the ones from the previous level at the very least, or ones that I know my student has been struggling with. If they're having a hard time remembering the U and U sound from EW and UE, I'd make sure I include that every time. I might not include all of the vowel teams, but those would be ones that I would definitely include. Okay, so that is one thing that we use. Another thing that we use is the Equipped for Reading Success, and this is a David Kilpatrick book. This again would be for students who are struggling A, with phonemic awareness, but B, working memory too. I also like it for working memory so that they can hear those parts. And the last thing that we use from other programs is our 2-lined paper. And there we go. Our 2-line paper we have in all of our offices. This is Handwriting Without Tears paper. And the way that it works is that you're going to anchor your letters in the middle here. I don't care how tall they get, and I don't care how far they go along the below the line. I just care that they do. I care that they go above the line when they're supposed to, and I care that they hang below the line when they are supposed to. So this will help anchor the meaty part of your letter and kind of get rid of the kids who like to write, you know, the lowercase g, where it doesn't hang below the line and it just is in the middle of the paper. And where all of the lines, you know, especially for you kids who struggle with dysgraphia, this will definitely help as long as you show them how to use it and you insist that their letters go above the line and you insist that their letters go below the line. Remember to always model a good one if they're struggling with this. This has helped clean up a lot of my kids who, I have one student in particular who when he made the letter A, he would bring the line would just fall way down below the line. This really helped clean it up. So he was able to get the full letter A in that entire line and not have any hangover, not have any go above. So anyhow, those are 3 programs that we use in conjunction, or some of the things that we use in conjunction with the Barton system, and I hope that this has been helpful. Thank you for watching.